Hello, and welcome to the seventh Near Protocol Workgroup call. My name is Victor. I'm a developer advocate for Near Developer Hub, and I will be moderating this call. I know I'm just meeting some of you for the first time today, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. I'm excited for us today to look at a net proposal and make a decision about it. Okay, and so for our agenda today, we will discuss the objective for the call and provide some context about our near developer ecosystem and our NEV process. Next, we'll introduce everyone that's involved. Then we'll get into the main conversation of NEP 488. After that, we'll open it up to a Q&A and talk about next phase. So yeah, feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. You can drop any questions or feedback, or you could just raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, so to get started, we'll discuss the purpose of today's call. We're here to publicly vote and arrive at a verdict for NEP 488. We're also here to celebrate the time and effort that everyone has invested into this NEP. I know it takes a lot of time and effort and people to also make this happen, so we really appreciate that. And yeah, before we jump into today's call, I would like to have a talk about our decentralized home base for developers that is near DevHub. And so at Near DevHub, we bring together individuals and organizations to help build an open source near developer ecosystem. We provide social structure, tools to allow anyone build in the near ecosystem and beyond. And now our main tool for interacting is neardevhub.org. As you can see on your screens, is the gateway for developers to make meaningful impact on Near. And developers can share ideas, connect with other developers in the ecosystem, access resources, get support, and find communities working on a variety of areas. So you could go from tooling to zero knowledge, and you can also create your own communities. Okay, so for work groups, we have formal work groups like this one who help make decisions in various ecosystem areas such as protocol. So these groups have selected recognized experts who engage with the community and also help review proposals in a timely and fair manner, of course. So for example, they help make decisions on technical proposals that want to get integrated across the ecosystem, such as protocol improvements. And so NEPs, you can submit an idea for a technical proposal using a NEP. It allows anyone propose an idea to the ecosystem. When a new NEP is submitted, it's submitted to the relevant work group, which will then be reviewed, and then it will be moved through our NEP process. And so for the roles and responsibilities, well, in terms of participants, there are 4 key roles in the NEP process. There's the author or champion, who is the person who writes the proposal and presents it to the work group. There's the moderator, yours truly, me, who facilitates this process and helps ensure the NEP progresses. Now, we also have a reviewer, which is a subject matter expert who reviews the technical feasibility of the proposal, and an approver, who is a work group member, and this person contributes to the voting that ultimately makes the decision. So what is the life cycle like for a NEP? Just to visualize this process, you can see there are 3 phases. So there's the draft, review, and the voting, and 2 possible outcomes, which is approve or rejected. Now, all of these roles mentioned previously help move the NEP through these phases and towards the outcome. So most of the activity happens asynchronously on the NEP itself on GitHub. But when we do get to the voting phase, the work group has an open discussion to arrive at the best decision in a transparent way, which is why we're all gathered here today. And so before we jump into the NEP review, I would like to highlight the participants who were heavily involved in this NEP. First, we have Olga. So shout out to you. I see you here, who is the author of the NEP 488. So thank you so much for your hard work and submitting this NEP. I'm playing the moderator role in facilitating this call. We have Michael, Ekliog, and Evgeny as reviewers, and they did the technical assessment. We also have the work group members, who include Marcelo, Michael B, Marcin, and Bowen. Oh, and shout out to Ori and Owen as well. Um, hmm. I think in the interest of time, maybe we can skip introductions because a lot of you probably already know each other. But please feel free to get active in the chat and say hi. And with that, I would like to move on to the actual NEP discussion. Okay, so first we'll have the author Olga present a summary of the NEP and why she believes it's important. And then we'll have the work group discuss their findings and ultimately arrive at a decision.
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Olga. And first of all, I would like to tell a little bit about the story why we need the SNAP in the first the reason why we create the SNAP. That's quite very huge. The story is that I work in the Rainbow Bridge team, and we have a bridge between which connect near and Ethereum. And in Ethereum too, for validating the blocks, it's switched from the proof of work to the proof of stake. And to validate the block, we need to validate basically BLS signature to check that block is correct and to verify that blocks created on the Ethereum is right on the near part. But it is very time-consuming. All the stuff is time-consuming. We cannot currently validate the signature, BLS signature on the near because it's we become out of gas. It's have a limitation of 3 liter gas per operation. So currently, to make our bridge works, we validate the BLS signature off-chain. That is not great. We would like to do it everything on-chain to make it trustless, basically. And it is the reason why we create this SNAP. It also has the story. First of all, we would like just to validate the BLS signature, but after some iterations, we came up with to support basically the operation on BLS crew, not just validating the BLS signature. And it's make all of that more flexible, and we can achieve the few goals. First of all, the main goal is to validate the BLS signature for the make our bridge trustless. And there is another and another thing that we can do, wonderful things that we can do. For example, we can verify the zkSNARK. For example, previously it was based on the another curve that already supported on near, but it's already it's some new attacks appeared and it's not so safe anymore. So we can update to the new version, new, more popular and more safe queue, and update the our old projects or create new one in more safe way. And we can support the we can validate the signature, or we can validate some stuff where it is necessary to validate, especially to perform the operation on the BLS queue. So it is the main idea of this proposal, I think. Also, another stuff that it is similar to the proposal in Ethereum, which YEP 2537, it's basically the same. And in Aurora, in the NAS blockchain, we can also support these precompiles as well. So I think that basically that's all about the SNAP, the main stuff. What's about.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your summary and for submitting the proposal as well, and your ongoing work throughout this process. The community has reviewed and talked about this SNAP on GitHub along with the workgroup members. So next, I would like to invite Marcelo to summarize some of the great things and concerns we saw in the comments.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Victor. Well, Olga did a great job at summarizing the motivation for this NEP, which is kind of what I will be discussing. This NEP part of the ecosystem is already working on bringing zk to near. This has proven to be quite a difficult task, mostly because of the lack of primitive required for zk tooling, and this is something that will be enabled by this NEP, like having efficient BLS primitive enable this. And most importantly, a short-term impact that this will have is that we will have a trustless rainbow bridge as we used to have when Ethereum was on proof of work, which I think it's the main selling point of the rainbow bridge. Like it's one of the only few really trustless bridge out there, and it's not the case today because the moving from proof of work to proof of stake made it impossible to have it on near. Yeah, this is like the main motivations to have this. So these are some concerns that were highlighted during the discussion. First concern, which was making this NEP specification self-contained. This one on itself was a little bit debatable in the sense that the whole specification of BLS, it's quite well documented in other places, but at the same time, we need to like the whole new protocol need to be self-contained. Like if someone is going to implement a new validator, like a new client, they need to know exactly how it's implemented in our main client. Like in all the clients right now, it's only one client, so we need to be really specific about how we are implementing this specification. So there were a trade-off between how much verbosity do we want in these specifications or not. I think we achieve a good trade-off. Here. The regional. Let me go through the next concern. The regional test case in the NEP specification lack consistency and clarity. Well, yeah, I was following the whole process of the NEP. I thank all of the reviewers for all the great review they did, and Olga for taking care of most of this. I think she did a great job here. And well, there were some concerns about choice of return types and values. I cannot elaborate too much here. Hopefully, we got to some, like, this is mostly about making interfaces suitable both for Rainbow Bridge and for zk. I cannot talk too much about how zk will be using this, but hopefully what we have today should be enough to at least kick off work on zk, and we should be able to iterate in the future in case we need it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So now that we have heard about the findings, let's give an opportunity to each work group member to share their opinions, which brings us to the voting phase. Okay. So based on the NEP process, we need a 2/3 majority to move forward with this NEP. And we've already had each work group member provide their voting indication on the NEP itself on GitHub. But here's the summary. So we had Marcelo, Michael, and Bowen lean towards approving this NEP. And I see Marcin hasn't provided his voting indication. Marcin, if you have any further opinions, could you share your thoughts?
Sure. This is because your update latency is too slow. I did update it a couple hours back, Victor. You did not refresh. Only you were using some reliable fast chain to do this.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that's a separate discussion. So yes, the TLDR, yes, I support this. And actually, big kudos, Olga. This was fantastic to read. Even for people who did not know exactly how BLS curves normally work, you adding a small, like, FYI, here are the basics, were super helpful. So for future, in my opinion, we should be also using this as an example of a well-written NEP. Thank you. The only small comment I would add is take another look at the names of the host functions, because you were referencing the EIP 2537, I think, for Ethereum, and the namings are a little bit off. And just to give you an example, here you say pairing check versus on Ethereum, it's usually just called pairing. We might consider having similarly named functions just to, if people are used to Ethereum, then they will know, like, oh, it's the same pairing, and otherwise it's like, oh, pairing check does it do something different, etc., etc. But overall, yeah, looks fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Marcin. So are we comfortable moving forward with an approval for the SNAP? Can I get a thumbs up reaction in the call? Okay, awesome. All right, congratulations, Olga. Okay, so let's talk about some of the next phase. Who will be implementing and the implementation updates. Olga, I invite you to speak on this, and of course, any other person can indicate they want to speak by raising their hands.
So, okay, what I need to, it's look like I need to do something now. I'm not going to get it. Yeah, I think that basically we already have some kind of, I can say draft implementation, something like that. It's basically, I already had some tests and I think it's basically work. It is based on the BLST library. I found it's quite reliable and even without any modification. So I can say that currently it is ready for review, but it's also need a lot of work to add a lot of tests. I think the test part, it is the most difficult one in ZNAP. Yeah.
One quick question: what kind of gas savings are we expecting? Did you do any kind of back of the envelope calculation of how much theoretically the gas would have cost before and after?
Yes, I did the calculation, but I don't have the number right now. The most important thing is that now we within the gas limit. Previously, we 10 times not within gas limit.
Yeah, I think previously it was 4,000 teragas, Martin.
Yeah. And now we within gas limit, and it is the main difference for me. The most important part. Yeah, and we quite have, I think, something like for BLS signature verification for our case in Rainbow Bridge, it's going to take, I think, around 100 teragas, I think, out of 300, something like that. It's not the, and moreover, I do the sum, it is approximate gas calculation. We also need to do it more accurately in Docker with iteration. I do it in the quick way. It's also the future work that we need to done. Yes.
I just wanted to add as well that we have engaged an external security researcher to do an audit of the specification and implementation, and the plan is that only once the audit is completed successfully and they have not found any issues, will we be actually be merging and like enabling things and be ready to push things on mainnet. So that is an additional requirement that we have for this work, that it has to pass a successful audit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I'm going to make a note of that and we'll update the slides after this meeting. Thank you so much for sharing. So in that case, I guess we can move on to Q&A. Are there any additional questions that would like to be asked at this point? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. And so, yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone involved and present on the call. We're very excited to work together and decentralize the development of NEAR. But just before you all run off, I want to quickly highlight the ways you can get involved in the NEAR developer ecosystem. And so if you have a specific idea in mind, you can submit it using DevHub, or you could find existing communities to collaborate with. You can also submit your own NEP and start the conversation. And you can view all the NEPs and check out their updates on GitHub. And hey, you could also join our community Telegram. It's a really great way to connect with others and see announcements for meetings like this. And of course, you can learn about DevHub on our website and stay up to date on our social channels. We'll post the recording for this meeting and of course, upcoming calls on our various channels. So yes, thank you everyone and have a great rest of the day.